And now, the world's most exciting podcast, The Savage Nation, home of borders, language, culture. Here he is, Michael Savage.
I'm Michael Savage. I'm going to talk about a very sensitive topic today. And the topic is very simple: fake hate crimes. The big story today is that the DOJ has indicted the far-left Southern Poverty Law Center, which itself is a hate group, in my opinion, on 11 counts. For years, we've known the SPLC was involved in shady operations. Well, today they were indicted by Trump's DOJ, where they were found, or they're alleged to have used donor money to pay the Ku Klux Klan and other far-right groups to stage hate crimes. It's an astounding story that I want to talk about because most people don't know what to believe today. They don't know which way to turn. They don't know what's true and what's false, which is how some of these far-right influencers have been able to make millions of dollars in false allegations against Jewish people, for example. When this comes out in its entirety, we will find out which one of these far-right influencers has been receiving money to spread lies and hatred against Jewish people. But that's not the whole story. The Justice Department indicted the Southern Poverty Law Center, which is anything but that, on 11 counts, including wire fraud, bank fraud, and money laundering. Hooray for Mr. Patel's FBI and DOJ. Secretly funneling more than $3 million, says the indictment, in funds to members of white supremacist and extremist groups, the DOJ said. We do not know which far-right influencers who have made millions of dollars spewing anti-Semitic propaganda received any of this money. But boy, when we find it out, maybe then people will understand the danger we are in today. A grand jury in the Middle District of Alabama returned an 11-count indictment against the SPLC case assigned to Judge Emily Marks, a Trump appointee. Thank God. Thank God we did some judge shopping. Good. Finally, we're judge shopping. Let's give it back to them in spades. Acting AG Todd Blanche said the grand jury indicted the SPLC on 6 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of bank fraud, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. I hope they get 20 years in prison. Department of Justice did their job. Wait till you see what the New York Times has to say about this. They sent $3 million in funds to members of white supremacist and extremist groups, including National Alliance affiliate, Aryan Nations affiliate, Unite the Right member, former National Alliance chairman, former KKK members, American Front president, and felon. That's a list of only the top 6 groups. But there are others. We don't know who they are yet. Todd Blanche and FBI Director Kash Patel held a press conference to announce the federal charges. Here is what they said. The SPLC was not dismantling these groups. It was instead manufacturing the extremism it purports to oppose by paying sources to stoke racial hatred. I can't wait to find out which one of the members of the new Reich in America, the 4 of them, which of these 4 members of the new Reich in America who support Hitler, if any, have received money from the SPLC? That's what I'm waiting for. The article that's best on this is found in the Gateway Pundit. Breaking news: DOJ indicts far-left Southern Poverty Law Center on 11 counts. SPLC used donor money to pay KKK to stage hate crimes, by Christina Lila. Great article. So let me continue reading from this article. It's the best summary I have found. The SPLC, we read, created shell companies to conceal their role in funding the extremist groups. Can you believe this? Can you believe how far they went? It's actually not incomprehensible to me. It's very, very comprehensible to me. I cannot wait until the day I wake up and see that the Ku Klux Klan, along with, which group am I about to say? Which group am I about to tell you should be indicted? The ACLU. The ACLU is the #1 hate group in America. The most dangerous subversive group in America is actually not the Ku Klux Klan. It's the ACLU, in my opinion. Find out how far the ACLU may have gone to build their donor base and collect money from good-meaning liberals. That's what I want to find out. Quote, they used the fraudulently raised money by lying to their donor network, thousands of Americans, to go ahead and actually pay the leadership of the supposed violent extremist groups, Patel said. Quote, furthermore, our investigation revealed that the Southern Poverty Law Center, on top of perpetuating this widespread decade-long multi-million-dollar fraud, conducted more criminal activity, he added. Good. This is after they accused them of being a drunk. Not them, but their fellow travelers in the media. Last May, the Southern Poverty Law Center labeled TPUSA a hate group and put a target on Charlie Kirk's back. A few months later, a leftist murdered Charlie Kirk at an event at Utah Valley University. Thank you, SPLC. Thank you, Morris D's acolytes. You're so evil. You're so evil, it's unbelievable. Well, that's the story. There's no more to the story right now. We're going to get the names of the other people who received the money. We named some of them, found them in this article.
Savage. Michael Savage, a host like no other.
Let me be blunt with you. Nobody else will be. Your retirement is being stolen, not by some guy in a ski mask, but by your own government. They racked up $38 trillion in debt. They're paying $1 trillion a year just in interest. And your 401k, it's jerking up and down every single day like a puppet on strings. War headlines, tariff chaos, Fed double talk. One day you're up, next day you've lost a month's worth of gains. This isn't a market. It's a casino, and the house always wins. You don't. You know who's not gambling right now? Central banks. The people who run the money system, they're dumping dollars and hoarding gold like the world depends on it. 3 straight years of record buying. Think about that. Don't go away. Listen carefully. The people who print the money are getting rid of it as fast as they can. What does that tell you about the paper in your wallet? Even Powell, the Fed chair himself, admitted this path will not end well. For once in his life, the man told the truth. Gold doesn't care about their wars. It's been the one honest asset for 5,000 years. A free report called The Big Beautiful Bubble lays out what they're not telling you and what you can do before they finish the job on your savings. Visit GetSavageGold.com or call 855-GOLD-099. Again, that's GetSavageGold.com or call 855-GOLD-099. Please, stop trusting the people who created this mess to fix it. Don't trust the government. Don't trust the Fed. Just protect yourself. GetSavageGold.com or call 855-GOLD-099. Again, that's GetSavageGold.com or call 855-GOLD-099. Life comes at you fast. You've got work, responsibilities, everything pulling at your time. And when it matters most, you want to show up. No hesitation. No second guessing. That includes the bedroom. If things aren't working the way they used to, you don't have to just accept it. That's where Rougiette comes in. Rougiette offers personalized treatments that help you get hard and stay hard and last as long as you want. It's not a joke. Whether it's occasional or something that's been building over time, their doctors work with you to find what actually fits your body. Their bestseller, Rougiette Ready, is a simple, minty tablet that dissolves under your tongue. Rougiette Ready combines 3 clinically proven ingredients to increase blood flow and get your mind in the right place. Most guys are ready in about 15 minutes, and the effects can last up to 36 hours. Wait, and if control is the issue, Rougiette's Go Long helps you stay in charge of when things finish, not the other way around. Over 400,000 men have already made the switch. Getting started is easy. Connect with a board-certified doctor online, and everything ships discreetly to your door. Go to Rougiette.com/savage, and you're going to get 15% off your ED treatment. That's Rougiette.com/savage. 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 Rougiette, performance medicine for men. Rougiette.com/savage. Go now. I want to find out, though, as I just tweeted, which influencers on the right did they fund to spread anti-Israel and anti-Jewish hate? That's what I'm waiting for. Now, this doesn't mean Israel's above the law or that everything Israel does is sacred. That's not what I said. But there's an army of influencers who've made millions of dollars a year on Jew hatred. Do I have to name them? You know who they are. They're your heroes, many of you who are commenting here, you Nazi. you, you're going to find out that your heroes were funded by people you hate in order to make hate spread in this country. I hope they're indicted as well. Now, before I sign off, I want to read something to you that I wrote at dawn. I told you that I wake at dawn and I lie in bed and I think about the day. And each day, as you know, any of us can go in 1,000 different directions. We awaken, and before we get out of bed, we have to think about carefully the directions our feet will take us that day. Teach that to your children. Say, Johnny, listen, when you get up in the morning, there are several different paths you can take. Take the path of God. Take the good path, Johnny. Put that in his head. So I was lying in bed this morning and I wrote this, Dark Tales a Child Overheard. I was going to do this as a separate piece, but I'm going to throw it in here. Imagine a small child under the age of 5 secretly listening in on another room as men whispered stories to each other. What were these stories? Were they stories of a sexual nature that the men were whispering? No, these were stories of horror beyond the human imagination. So let me take you back to the Bronx in the early 1940s, when I myself was that child listening in from another room, and the men who were whispering to each other did not know I was hiding in the next room listening to them. Who were these men? These were men who had survived the Nazi Holocaust against the Jews. It must have been in 1946, 47. They came back with tattoos on their arms, numbers, and they were telling men who had not faced these atrocities what happened to them and what happened to others. They told them about horrors that I, to this day, am just remembering, and I'm 84 years of age. I am suffering from PTSD. I'm sure of it, as these memories begin to come back to me. I will only tell you 2 of them. The rest I will not even repeat on this show today. One man told about German soldiers with fixed bayonets in their rifle, grabbing infants from the arms of the Jewish mothers, throwing them in the air and catching them on the bayonet. Imagine being that little boy, hearing that story, as it was whispered by those with numbers on their forearms to the American men. Imagine the horror of the child as he listened to this story. He didn't know what to think. Another story told by one of these Holocaust survivors was that of Germans giving the Jews a choice. Either eat human feces that the soldier had just produced or be shot dead right there on the spot. Now imagine this child having to hide this all of his life for fear that he would be punished for having even heard of it. Imagine what it did to that child's mind. And you'll know who that child is today, me. These were just 2 of the stories I heard. There were others I will not even repeat. So when I hear these far-right influencers, who I will not even name, they're not even worth naming. You know who they are. Denying the Holocaust occurred. I will tell you, I have real rage inside of me. And I pray to God that there really is a Mossad that really does these things that we are told the Mossad does. And on that pleasant note, may God be with us. May God save America, the greatest land on the planet, a citadel of light in a world of darkness. And let's pray for the health of President Donald Trump. As flawed as he is, as tumultuous as are the times, he is all we have in this war against darkness that will engulf the entire world unless it is snuffed out. And this SPLC indictment, to me, is one of the greatest changes of fate of these far-left groups I have ever seen in my life. We read that they use donor money to pay the KKK and stage hate crimes. Now I ask, which far-right influencers did they also pay to spread anti-Jewish hate? I could ask other questions. What else are they funding or did they fund? And now let's go to the mother of all mothers of far-left groups with armies of lawyers, not the Ku Klux Klan, the ACLU, running big ads on television now on CNN, about how they're helping blacks and people with veils and people with, Muslim garb to survive the evils of white America. They're raising money on this, the ACLU. Are they involved in any way? The ACLU? They have a lot of money. One of their largest donors, by the way, occurred years ago. I followed this one real carefully. See, there was a family here in San Francisco that owned a savings and loan. And they busted it out just before the economic collapse. I don't remember the year anymore. I don't know when, 2008. And they sold it for billions of dollars to another bank, and they took that money and ran, these two pieces of human trash. I know their names. I won't even mention them because their descendants are living high on the hog here in San Francisco, continuing to fund far-left maniac groups. They would sue me for even mentioning their name. But yes, they made billions of dollars busting out their own savings and loan and gave $1 million of it to the ACLU at that time. And their children are living high on the hog here in San Francisco, funding left-wing hate groups like the SPLC. A curse upon them and all of their children upon their children's children for that dirty, filthy money that their grandparents made with that bank fraud. That's it, my friends. I don't know how to tell this story in a way where it doesn't sound like I'm appealing to your sympathies. I don't want to do that. I'll do it in another way. I'm not appealing to your sympathies. I'm just going to tell you a story. So we all have medical conditions. As we get older, we have more medical conditions occasionally. I've been very, very fortunate because it's not that I've led a very healthy life. I've not exactly led a very healthy life. I lead a high-stress life. And I'm not a perfect man. Let's leave it at that. Perhaps I drink too much, but it's worked for me. I mean, I'm 84. I drink 2 glasses of wine a night. If you want to read a book about what to do, go ahead, read a book. I don't need to read a book. I am the book. I'm the living book. I'm the living encyclopedia. So I've had some health conditions, minor stuff compared to what people get. I mean, I have a friend who was healthy and got hit by a wave in Hawaii like a few months ago while body surfing, broke a couple of ribs, went in and found that he had spinal cancer, and he suffered through the worst hell I ever heard anyone suffer in my life. Overnight, like that. Remember what I told you? Like that. If you think you're above the laws of nature, above the laws of God, you are mistaken. Healthy man, great career, spinal cancer. He had to go through the worst hell I ever heard in my life of medical treatments, of bone marrow transplant. This man suffered like I never heard of medical suffering, but he survived it. He beat the cancer because of modern medicine, because they've literally designed drugs that target specific cancers in these days, in this great day of medicine. You understand this? All you doubting Thomases, all you skeptics who don't know what to believe. Do you know what a miracle we are living through in terms of modern medicine? Now, remember, I wrote books on herbal medicine. I wrote books on nutrition, homeopathy, etc. So I believe in alternative medical modalities. But when it comes down to it, when you have severe illnesses like cancer, you go with modern medicine or you're not going to survive it. It's as simple as that. But I have to read something to you, pardon me, before I continue with my discussion here. So as I meant to you before, I was in a walk-on scene, 2 scenes in a movie coming out soon called The Last Firefighter with the great John Voight. And I play Ezra the Jewish fisherman. I remember we were filming it a couple of months ago in Manhattan Beach. It was a beautiful day. I love Manhattan Beach Pier. And I'm the guy fishing next to John. And John Voight says, "How are they biting this morning, Ezra?" Ezra says, "I'm afraid the bugs are biting more than the fish, but you never know. Yeshua's Hashem, Keheref Ayin." That's what Ezra says. And he says, "Do you know what that means?" And John says, "What, I'm going to catch a big one tonight?" Ezra says, "Almost. It means the salvation of God is like the blink of an eye. God can change one's luck in an instant. So it's good to have hope, John. Never forget this phrase, Yeshua's Hashem Keheref Ayin. Every ethnic group has sayings that have become part of the melange of American life. It doesn't matter what the ethnic group is. All people bring to this nation some good things and some bad things. Some sayings are amazing, such as this, that your fate can change in the blink of an eye. So you better remember who's up there. And there's always hope. It means the salvation of God is like the blink of an eye. God can change one's luck in an instant, meaning not just have hope. It means pray to God for your salvation. Pray to God every day and thank God every day for your health. Yeshua's Hashem Keheraphaim, great saying, not well known. So I go to the doctor yesterday because I had some stuff bothering me for a couple of weeks now that scared the hell out of me. I mean, it was blood coming out of a part of my body that shouldn't have blood coming out of it. At any age, that's a frightening thing. So naturally, your mind runs to various and sundry possibilities. Well, at this point, it seems as though it's a passing incident in my life. Not sure, but it's not what I feared. So after the medical appointment, I had to drive an hour and a half to get there. I had someone drive me because I don't like driving to begin with. And especially to medical appointments, my mind is too distracted. So instead of going right home after the medical appointment, I did what Michael does best. I said, let's go. There's a good Italian restaurant I heard nearby. I'm going to go there and have a great lunch. We're going to have a great lunch. It was 3:00. They were open right through lunch and dinner. And I had a wonderful lunch with I'd say a lot of white wine. And I sat in the back of the car watching the rain go by. And I said, God, thank you for this. And I'm making another commitment to you, God, as I woke up this morning. It's a continuation of yesterday, which is my life has always had meaning. I'll tell you that right now. There's times I've doubted, why live, all of that. I've had all of these depressing moments in my life like everyone else. But by and large, I'm a driven man. I'm a purposeful man who has a purpose in life. I have since I'm very young. But as you get older, sometimes this purpose-driven life starts to diminish like your muscle mass does. No matter what you do to exercise, I don't care who you are, you're going to lose muscle mass at 80. I don't care if you're the best triathlete in the world. You're going to watch your arms shrivel up a little bit, and there's almost nothing you can do about it. Doesn't mean give up. Keep exercising, but don't overdo it. So it's the same way with a purpose-driven life, a meaningful life. It waxes and it wanes. So I came back from this experience with the doctor yesterday saying, God, I'm going to renew my devotion to you, and I'm going to renew what I can give to the world. And, one of the things I was known for in the early days of radio was storytelling, and it was always stories that had a higher kind of meaning. They may sound like Dead Man's Pants, One Arm Frank, but there was always another part of that story. There was a political meaning to each of those stories if you actually analyze what I was doing. So I'm going to try and use my natural gift of storytelling and my relatively good health to continue to try to speak with you as often as I feel I can in a cogent manner and an energetic manner, which is not every day, about news and events of the day that are meaning. And today's story is a shockingly amazing story. SPLC indicted, used donor money to pay the Ku Klux Klan and other far-right groups to stage hate crimes, which leads us next to which far-right influencers that many of you listen to who get on my site and try to mock me when you're only mocking yourself. Which of these far-right influencers did they also pay to spread anti-Jewish hatred? That's what I want to know. Because one of the worst hatreds I have seen is the denial of the Holocaust. I did a show called Genocide. It was not only about the Nazi Holocaust against the Jews, it was also about the other genocides, the Armenian genocides, the Ukrainian genocide, down the list, the genocide against Native Americans, things like that, the broader picture of genocides. And when you have a person saying these things didn't happen. They're killing the people twice. Not only were they killed once, but they're killing them again by saying they weren't killed at all. So I'm going to spend the rest of my life doing what I can to disseminate the absolute and 100% truth about things of such importance. I'm going to give you an example, and I'm not going to make you watch this anymore. I already told you what this little boy had to listen to. Take a look at this little story here, those of you doubting Thomases who don't know anything. Look at this one. Poland had Europe's largest Jewish population before the war, and only about 10% survived. Most were murdered in Nazi death camps, which were located in Poland or shot by firing squads. Now you say, oh, come on, they made that up to raise money. No, that's only if you are a moron, you would say a thing like that. An evil person will be punished by God. You will be punished. I'm going to tell you right now, those of you who claim to be Christians and do things like this, you will be punished by God in your lifetime in ways you're never going to believe how it comes back on you. I can guarantee it. I've seen it in my own life. That boomerang will hit you so hard you won't know where it came from. It won't come from me. I'm just a man sitting in a room somewhere telling you what I think to be most important right now.
Savage. Home of borders, language, culture. The Savage Nation.
When I see the hatred that I have to put up with every day, which is why I block comments, by the way. If Albert Einstein were alive and he was talking about the theory of relativity, he would block comments because he'd get people who never went to college, who can't even do basic math, saying, oh, what does that Jew know? He's just a Zionist, that Einstein. He knows nothing about relativity. So I say to you here, take that and write on it. All you followers of the 4 horsewomen of the apocalypse. The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and one of them is a black woman who should know better. She's made a fortune on the carcasses of the dead people. Everyone rides high for a while, and then eventually the horse dies under their own feet. And you see what happens to them. Mark my words, as I am sitting here, you will see what God has in store for the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. This is Michael Savage. Thank you very much for listening. I'll have to close with the way I know you like. I wrote this down. I want to get it right. If you like what you see and you see what you like, follow Mike and pay very careful attention to who you believe and who you listen to. Not everything is fake news. Not everything is fake science. Not everything is fake history. Not all medicine is fake. No. Try to learn. Try to think. Try to study before engaging. I spent my life as a scholar. I must have read, I don't know how many books. I try to add up how many books. Scholarship means reading. There used to be a saying, he was reading for his PhD. That's how it was discussed many, many decades ago. They wouldn't say he got his PhD because there are many fake PhDs out there that are worthless. And they did nothing. She was reading for her PhD in comparative literature. He was reading for his PhD in nuclear physics. And of course, then there's experimental science, and you have to do some experiments to prove to your professors that you're capable of it and things of that nature. So there are various qualities of everything, whether it's in a car or in a doctoral degree. There are variants. It could be a mail-order degree, or it could be a real degree from one of the great universities in a real science. And then you have to discern who you're listening to. So when you see on the internet a moron who never went to college, never studied anything, arguing, for example, about nutrition, they know nothing. For years, I was telling you about the dangers, which is something I know a lot about because I told you I come from a family that has very poor longevity. And so I was driven into the health field almost with a gun to my head, which is why I wrote so many books on health, nutrition, healing, herbal medicine, homeopathy, why I spent years searching for medicinal plants. Those of you who follow me know what I'm talking about. So along the way, you learn certain things. If you're spending your whole life doing this, you figure you learn certain things. Say, well, you don't know anything. You're an old man. You're just quoting old articles. Well, the Bible's an old book. You want to burn it along with your Nazi friends? You know, not all old knowledge is bad knowledge. Some old knowledge is still good knowledge. And so I'll give you an example. Then I'm going to go. one of the things I've been preaching for decades now is lower your intake of sodium. A simple thing like that, which you would think wouldn't be argued, is argued by morons in ways you can't imagine. They have no scientific background. If you gave them a complex epidemiological study, they couldn't even read it. But because they read one book or one girl or showed her navel on YouTube or on Instagram, they know more about the subject than the biggest experts. So 50 years ago, I remember reading an article by Sasaki et al. I can remember the author's name. And he did Sasaki et al. In Japan, did a study on sodium intake in Japan. And they compared different groups of Japanese in Japan. So the ethnicity was the same. They're not big on mixed races in Japan. So they compared one district of Japan that had low sodium intake. They lived in an apple growing district, which was high potassium. And on the other side of the archipelago, they had another comparative group of a high sodium group. I think they lived in a fishing community or something. They ate a lot of salted fish. As expected, the high sodium community of Japanese people had escalated levels, or incidence rather, of hypertension. Those who ate apples and had high potassium had a lower incidence of hypertension. Now, I read one study after another about this. I remember in the 1970s, there was an epidemic of hypertension amongst African Americans, and it was discovered that so-called soul food, at the time, I don't know if it's still like this, probably is, I don't think things changed too much, was just saturated with sodium. So, direct link, causative. Sodium, high blood pressure. You tell people this? No, they tell you something they learned on Instagram. And so I'm saying you have to study things. You have to invest energy. You have to read the articles before you engage this. Read the articles on the subject. See what's in the literature. And then come to a conclusion. Otherwise, it's pointless talking to people. In other words, if you're teaching a group and you have a heckler in the classroom who doesn't know anything and keeps interrupting the professor, you call security and throw the heckler out of the classroom, which is why I block comments. And if you heckle me with stupidity, you're going to get blocked forever anyway. And then I'm going to block everyone because I don't really care what people have to say at the end of the day.
Savage.
Well, thank you very much for listening to today's podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it and you'll learn something from it. We have about 400 other episodes available for you to listen to absolutely free. You can go back into our vast library of podcasts and listen to any one of them at any time. And remember this, if you want to listen to my podcast ad-free, sign up for the Savage Premium membership and get access to ad-free podcasts as well as some premium content from our Savage archives. How do you sign up for those ad-free podcasts? Please visit michaelsavage.com for a link. Again, thank you for your listenership. This is Michael Savage.